It's time for another Devlog FPS game. Wait, didn't you say you were gonna quit game development? Well, I still might, but I do have some extra time during the summer vacations, so I guess I'm gonna spend that making videos for you guys and working on my FPS game. This doesn't mean that I'm not quitting or that I am, I just need time to truly decide what I want. Okay, let's get back into the video. So, welcome back to another devlog. This is devlog, I don't even know what number it is at this point. I've now made a devlog in a while now. To be precise, in over a year. Damn, time really does fly, doesn't it? So, in over a year, I must have made significant progress in the game, right? Hell no, but I did make some progress, so here's what I've added in a year's worth of work. In the last few devlogs, we added enemies, movement, weapons, and a lot more. Go check them out if you haven't already. So, we already have most of the mechanics in place. This devlog, we're just gonna fix the problems with the game and add a few more mechanics before we start working on level designing. So first, I started by adding a few things that a lot of you guys recommended. The first comment I saw was this. I really like the idea. So basically, we're gonna have a double barrel shotgun in which we have the option to choose between shooting both bullets at once or one bullet at a time. This creates for really cool map designs and also adds another layer of player decision, as shooting both bullets at once would mean more damage and more knockback, but it would also mean that you would have to reload more often. I start by going into Blender and creating the model for a shotgun. After a while, I had this. I then imported it into Unity and started working on the shooting script. Adding new weapons is quite easy now since I have a pretty modular system in place. But the main problems I faced was the shotgun jump. So basically, it's really easy to add knockback only if you have a rigid body. And since I use a character controller which does not rely on physics, I had to suffer for days. I searched everywhere. I was so desperate I went all the way till the fourth page of Chrome, but I couldn't find anything. So I was all alone. And after days of smashing my head into my keyboard, I ended up making this. And it works perfect. Oh, yeah. I added some more duct tape and hey, at least it works for now, but I'm sure it's gonna break sooner or later. Another comment that I really liked was this. But instead of adding a skateboard, I decided on adding a hoverboard since it's basically the same thing except it fits the sci-fi genre a lot more. So basically, I think it'll be like a power up in which your shoes extend to become hoverboards. It'll basically be rechargeable and movement speed and jump height will be higher on those. After watching a simple tutorial, I finally had it somewhat working the way I wanted it to, and it looks really cool since it's fully physics based. We're gonna add the model for the hoverboard and animations later. We also added the ability to dash when we press the shift button, and it looks quite cool. Another thing that bothered me in the game was the enemy system. So we already have enemies in the game, but it's safe to say that these enemies are dumb. They basically only check within a certain radius, and if I'm standing right in front of them, they won't notice me, which is just dumb. And if we're hiding behind an obstacle, they will still know where I am if I'm within the radius. So to fix this, we shoot out a raycast, which is an invisible line from the enemy to our player. If it does not collide with a wall or any other obstacle, the enemy knows the player's position. It then checks the distance and any possible routes to the player. If it does not find any routes, it will start shooting from where it is, otherwise, it will chase the player while shooting. This is basically where most of my time went as I wanted the enemy AI to be perfect. Another problem with the enemy was the bullets were not accurate enough. So now the bullet follows the same raycast which is used to identify the player. This creates extremely accurate shots and now the game is a lot more fun to play. We also added many more enemy types including a new robot, a flying enemy and a spider enemy robot. Another problem with the game was the shooting script. There was no real impact and it felt dull and boring. And so to fix this, we started working on a recoil script. Now, I wanted the shooting in the game to feel perfect. And so to do this, we created two different scripts. The first script was to move the gun backwards and rotate it depending on how much you shoot. And the second recoil script was for the camera, which basically rotated it whenever we shoot so we could get a cool recoil pattern. We also added a bullet explode effect and a tracer particle effect. A really important part of making a good game is having a good story. I already had a fair idea what the story is supposed to be, but I made a Google Doc with all dialogues, characters, settings, and the story. Now, for obvious reasons, I cannot show you the exact story as it'll make the game uninteresting and spoil the entire game for you. But let me just tell you, it's a crazy story to say the least. Another thing I worked on, which took most of my time, was the graphics. The first idea I had was a cel shaded game, kinda like Borderlands. And after applying a shader, this is how it looks. It looks quite cool, but I was unsure. So I reverted back and just played around with the settings a little and got it somewhat looking the way I wanted it to. I'm still not deciding what the graphics are supposed to be looking like, so just comment down below which one you like better. And basically, that's about all I've done in over a year's worth of work. And honestly, I agree it's not a lot, but this is not the only project I was working on, and I did take quite a few breaks over the year. I also wanted to talk a little about the future of the game. My game is at a point where most of the mechanics are done, but there is no gameplay as I've not yet started working on level designing. So this means there may not be a lot of devlogs in the future because level designing is a long and boring process and it may not make a good video. But I will keep you guys updated and post updates on my Instagram, Twitter, so go follow them if you haven't already. And yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, share, and I'm out. Peace.